Today, we're diving into the metaphysical architecture of Lapis, its truth frequency, its visionary power, its shadow side, and how to work with it safely and effectively. We're also going into the ancient history and how pairing Lapis with specific sound frequencies can amplify its activation. Lapis Lazuli isn't just a crystal, it's a frequency, a blueprint, a stone that ancient priests, kings, oracles, and magicians guarded like a secret key to the higher knowledge. Let's cross the veil and begin. 1. Truth frequency. Lapis carries a very specific current, the frequency of truth, not blunt honesty, not emotional unloading, but royal truth, clarity delivered with authority, never aggression. It slices through illusion, self-deception, and psychic fog. It activates the throat and third eye as one system, so what you perceive and what you speak finally move in alignment. 2. Inner vision and higher mind. This stone upgrades your inner operating system. It enhances symbolic thinking, pattern recognition, and intuitive intelligence. It deepens meditation, sharpens dream recall, and reduces distortion in altered states. It bridges rational thought with intuitive knowing, the mind and the mystic functioning as a single, coherent field. 3. Sovereignty and spiritual authority. Lapis carries a king and queen frequency, sovereignty. It helps you reclaim your power, dissolve external influence, and stand in your spiritual authority. This is why ancient initiates used it to anchor legitimacy, wisdom, and higher command. Section 2. Chakra and subtle body effects. Third eye, also known as ajna. Lapis stabilizes psychic impressions so they're not chaotic or overwhelming. It sharpens perception, enhances symbolic interpretation, and supports pineal attunement. Lapis doesn't just activate the third eye, it organizes it. Its frequency creates a crystalline grid around the ajna center, turning raw, intuitive data into structured insight. This makes visions clearer, symbolism more coherent, and inner imagery easier to interpret without distortion. It supports pineal coherence and rhythmic firing, stable, clairvoyant perception, discernment between intuition, imagination, and projection, the ability to read energetic patterns with precision. Lapis gives the third eye architecture, not just activation. Throat, Vishuddha. It encourages honest expression without emotional volatility. It strengthens the energetic spine between thought and speech. Clarity becomes your default. Lapis aligns the throat with the mind so your words carry accuracy, authority, and resonance. It removes the emotional static that usually distorts communication, allowing truth to move cleanly from inner knowing to spoken form. It enhances articulate expression, boundary setting without aggression, speaking from clarity rather than reactivity, the ability to name subtle truths without hesitation. This is the stone of uncompromised articulation. Etheric body. Lapis creates a structured, protective field around the head and upper chakras. It reduces psychic noise and interference, making ritual, meditation, and channeling work far cleaner. Lapis forms a geometric etheric shield, not a wall, but a clarity matrix. It filters out psychic debris, emotional residue, and eternal influence, leaving the upper field quiet, stable, and receptive. This makes it ideal for trance states, channeling, divination, ritual precision, dream work, any practice requiring a clean signal. Lapis purifies the subtle field by ordering it. Section 3. Emotional and psychological metaphysics. Dissolves mental fog. Think of Lapis as a mental defrag. Scattered thoughts reorganize into coherent patterns. Lapis reorganizes cognition. It gathers fragmented thoughts, intrusive loops, and scattered impressions, then reassembles them into a coherent mental structure. This creates a sense of inner spaciousness. The mind becomes a clear sky instead of a storm. Stabilizes emotional turbulence. It doesn't numb you, it elevates your perspective so you can navigate emotions with clarity. Lapis lifts you above the emotional field so you can see the pattern rather than drown in the sensation. It creates emotional altitude, allowing you to respond instead of react. This is emotional mastery through perspective, not suppression. Encourages self-honesty. This stone reveals hidden motives, suppressed truths, unspoken desires, and unresolved conflicts. It's not gentle, it's clarifying. Lapis is a mirror with no fog. It exposes the internal narratives you've outgrown, the motives you've concealed, and the truths you've avoided. It demands integrity, not moral purity, but accurate self-perception. This is why it's historically linked to judges, priests, and truth keepers. Supports shadow integration. Perfect for Scorpio-coded work, confronting uncomfortable truths, integrating repressed aspects, reclaiming lost power. Lapis illuminates the shadow without sensationalizing it. It reveals the architecture of your unconscious patterns and helps you integrate them without shame or collapse. It's a stone for those ready to reclaim the parts of themselves they exiled. This is shadow work done with clarity, sovereignty, and precision. Section 4. Spiritual and Esoteric Properties. Gateway Stone for Initiates. In ancient systems, lapis was a threshold stone, used when someone was ready to receive higher knowledge or enter mystery teachings. Lapis marks the transition from seeker to initiate. It opens the inner gates to symbolic intelligence, higher memory, and esoteric perception. It was historically used to test readiness. Only those with stable minds and clear hearts could handle its frequency. It is a stone of initiation, not decoration. Enhances ritual precision. It sharpens awareness and strengthens intention and prevents energetic bleed-through. Lapis refines the practitioner's field, so intention becomes a laser rather than a diffused glow. It reduces ritual drift, strengthens focus, and ensures the energy moves exactly where it's directed. This is the stone for practitioners who value accuracy over theatrics. Strengthens psychic boundaries, not by blocking, but by clarifying. When your perception is sharp, manipulation becomes nearly impossible. Lapis protects through discernment. It makes deception, glamour, and psychic interference obvious. When you see clearly, nothing can hook into your field. This is sovereignty through perception, not defense. Facilitates ancestral and past life recall. Lapis helps access soul memory, retrieve forgotten wisdom, and understand karmic patterns. Lapis activates deep memory strata, the layers where ancestral imprints, past life echoes, and soul contracts reside. It doesn't create visions, it reveals stored data. It supports karmic pattern recognition, ancestral communication, past life retrieval, soul level clarity. This is the stone of memory beyond the mind. Section 5. Alchemical and Elemental Correspondences. Elementally, lapis sits between air and ether, thought and spirit. Planet Jupiter, expansion and wisdom. Secondary planet Saturn, structure and authority. Archetypes: the oracle, the royal scribe, the truth bearer, the seer, and the philosopher. Mythic resonance: Egyptian priesthood, Sumerian queens, Greek oracles, Renaissance magicians, medieval alchemists. Section 6. How lapis interacts with other crystals. Since many of you work with grids and placements, here's the synergy map. With celestite amplifies angelic clarity and calm visionary states. With apatite strengthens truth-seeking and mental focus. With labradorite creates a shielded visionary field. Not a crystal, zinc acts as a conductor, grounding higher frequencies into the body. Section 7. Ritual and Practical Uses. Meditation. Placed on the forehead to activate symbolic vision. Used during breathwork for mental clarity. Lapis doesn't just activate the third eye, it stabilizes it. When placed on the forehead, it creates a cooling, electric stillness that sharpens inner sight and filters out psychic noise. During breathwork, lapis acts like a tuning fork for the mind. Each inhale aligns your awareness. Each exhale clears static from the mental field. This makes it ideal for entering deep trance without drifting, strengthening the mind's ability to hold complex imagery, accessing the symbolic layer beneath ordinary thought, maintaining clarity during long or intense meditative states. Lapis is not passive, it directs the mind toward truth. Dream work. Place it under the pillow for lucid dreaming and decoding dream symbolism. In dream work, lapis functions like an inner compass. It heightens awareness inside the dreamscape, making it easier to recognize dream logic, spot symbolic patterns, and maintain lucidity without forcing it. Its energy clarifies the architecture of dreams by sharpening the edges of dream imagery, reducing emotional distortion so the message is clearer, helping you remember meaning of the dream, not just the visuals, revealing the hidden logic behind recurring symbols. Lapis doesn't create dreams, it reveals the intelligence already moving through them. Creative work enhances writing, scripting, and conceptual thinking, perfect for creators and thinkers. Lapis is the stone of structured vision. It doesn't just inspire ideas, it reorganizes them. It helps you translate intuitive flashes into coherent frameworks, scripts, outlines, and narratives. It supports conceptual clarity, connecting symbolic insights into logical sequences, refining raw inspiration into usable form, strengthening the editor mind without killing creativity. For creators, lapis is the bridge between the mystical and the articulate, the stone that turns vision into language. Shadow work reveals hidden truths and helps you confront uncomfortable insights. Lapis is uncompromising in shadow work. It illuminates what's been avoided, denied, or rationalized, but without the emotional overwhelm that usually accompanies deep introspection. It helps you see the root of a pattern without flinching. Separate intuition from projection. Recognize your own motives with clarity. Stay grounded while exploring difficult truths. Lapis does not soothe the shadow, it names it. This is why ancient cultures associated it with royal authority, not dominance, but the courage to see truth without distortion. Protection, not a shield, a clarity barrier. When you see clearly, interference loses its power. Lapis is not a defensive stone. It doesn't create walls or bubbles. Instead, it sharpens perception so thoroughly that interference, energetic, emotional, or psychic, becomes obvious and therefore powerless. Its protection comes from heightened discernment, recognizing manipulation or distortion instantly, staying mentally sovereign, and seeing through illusions, glamours, and false narratives. Lapis protects by revealing, not by blocking. Clarity itself becomes the armor. Section 8. The shadow side of lapis. Lapis does not tremble before shadow. It unveils the truths reserved for the initiated. Overactivation. Too much lapis can cause headaches, overthinking, emotional bluntness, or hypercritical tendencies. Truth without tact. It can make you speak truths before you've softened them. Ego inflation. The royal frequency can amplify ego if you're not grounded. Section 9. How to work with lapis safely and effectively. Grounding pairings. Hematite, smoky quartz, and black tourmaline. Best times. Waxing moon. Ritual requiring clarity, truth, or authority. Scorpio, Sagittarius, or Aquarius seasons carry the strongest charge, but any season can serve. Cleansing. Smoke, sound, moonlight, or selenite. Keep lapis from the touch of water. Pyrite will awaken the rust, and the blue will bleed into silence. Its ancient fire dims when drowned. Pairing lapis with different frequencies. Lapis lazuli isn't merely a stone of truth and inner vision. It's a crystal that awakens when called by the right frequencies. When sound meets its ancient blueprint, the field around it expands, sharpens, and stirs like something remembering itself. Today, we're stepping into the frequencies that activate lapis lazuli's deeper nature, from gentle openings to the thresholds of full third eye awakening. Section 1. Gentle activation frequencies. We begin with the softest currents, the threshold tones that open the mind without stirring the deeper chambers. These are the frequencies that whisper rather than command, inviting the inner eye to awaken with grace. 396 Hz loosens the old knots of fear and dissolves the tension that dims inner sight. It clears the emotional static that veils intuition, creating a quiet inner sky where Lapis can rise and reveal its wisdom. 417 Hz unravels the subtle threads of outdated patterns, the loops that keep consciousness circling the same truths. It moves in harmony with Lapis, sovereign clarity, guiding you to witness yourself without distortion, without judgment, without resistance. And 528 Hz, the tone of heart-mind coherence, softens the intensity of Lapis' presence. It steadies the emotional field, weaving calm through the body so insights that surface can take root instead of scattering. These frequencies form the first gate, gentle, grounding, and ideal, for those seeking clarity without invoking the full force of activation. They prepare the mind, calm the waters, and open the path for deeper vision to unfold. Section 2. Medium Activation Frequencies. Now we step into the frequencies that awaken the inner eye and sharpen the subtle senses. 639 Hz. It weaves harmony through your communication pathways, both spoken and unspoken. It aligns the throat and third eye so intuitive messages can rise cleanly and be expressed with precision. 741 Hz cuts through the mental haze and activates intuitive intelligence. This is where Lapis begins to shift into its oracle state, sharp, discerning, and unmistakably clear. And 852 Hz. This is a true ignition point of inner vision. It opens the intuitive channel, strengthens symbolic sight, and deepens your access during meditation, scripting, or ritual work. For most practitioners, this tier is the perfect balance, powerful enough to awaken, gentle enough to navigate. Section 3. Strong Activation Frequencies. Now we descend into the subtler realms, the frequencies that awaken the higher mind and stir the ancient intelligence of the pineal gland. These tones don't just vibrate through the body, they open the hidden chambers of perception, calling the inner eye to rise and remember. 963 Hz opens the crown and threads its light directly into the third eye. With Lapis, this creates a state of heightened awareness, a crystalline clarity that feels almost oracular. The 1080 to 1200 Hz range is known as the pineal resonance window. It isn't a traditional solfeggio tone, it's a metaphysical frequency band used in advanced activation work. Within this window, Lapis becomes a revealer of hidden truths, pulling symbolic insight from the depths. And 7 to 8 Hz theta binaural beats draw the mind into the visionary state, the realm between waking and dreaming. Place Lapis on your forehead during this descent, and the clarity becomes unmistakable, almost luminous. This tier is for deep meditation, intuitive exploration, and decoding the symbolic language of the inner world. Section 4. Extreme Activation Frequencies. These frequencies are reserved for the adept, the ones who approach Lapis not as a stone, but as a threshold, a living gate. When paired with the right tones, it stops being an object and becomes a passageway into higher realms of visionary memory and inner command. 40 Hz gamma forges a state of hyperclarity. It sharpens perception, heightens pattern recognition, and trigger rapid intuitive downloads, the kind that arrive fully formed, like remembering instead of learning. 4.5 Hz, resting on the border of delta and theta, opens the descent into deep subconscious. With Lapis, this frequency can surface suppressed truths, ancestral echoes, or impressions from other lifetimes, and the material stored beneath ordinary awareness. And 111 Hz, the sacred resonance used in ancient temples, opens the inner sanctuary of the mind. This is where Lapis reveals its oldest face, the keeper of mystery school wisdom, the stone that remembers the teachings carried through civilizations. This tier is potent, initiatory, and transformative. Use it with intention, presence, and respect. Now we get into the history. Lapis Lazuli, the stone of kings, gods, and the cosmos. For over 7,000 years, one stone has traveled through empires, temples, tombs, and myth. A stone so rare, so radiant, that ancient civilizations believed it wasn't from Earth at all, but a fragment of the night sky itself. This is Lapis Lazuli, the stone of kings, gods, and cosmic truth. We are about to dive into its origins, its ancient uses, and why this blue stone shaped human history. Section 1. The origin of the blue stone. Lapis lazuli begins in one of the harshest places on Earth, the Sari Sang mines of Badakhshan, Afghanistan. These mines were active as early as 7000 BCE, making lapis one of the first gemstones humans ever sought out. To reach it, ancient miners crossed freezing mountain passes, cliffs, and narrow trails carved into rock. This wasn't just a casual stone, it was a royal artifact of the ancient world, a vessel of vision and sovereign mind. Lapis wasn't just worn, it was chosen. It marked those who carried the responsibility of truth, those who could withstand the weight of seeing beyond the veil. Section 2. Mesopotamia, the first civilizations to worship it. The earliest written records of lapis come from Sumer, Akkad, and Babylon. To the Mesopotamians, lapis wasn't just a gemstone, it was a symbol of divine authority. They carved it into royal seals, amulets, statues of gods, and ritual objects. The Sumerian goddess Inanna was described as wearing lapis jewelry. Kings used lapis seals to legitimize their role. Priests believed the stone connected the earthly realm to the heavens. This is where lapis becomes more than a mineral. It becomes a bridge between the worlds. Section 3. Ancient Egypt, the stone of the gods. No civilization loved lapis more than ancient Egypt. Egyptians valued it as highly as gold. They imported it through long-distance trade routes, sometimes taking months to arrive. They used lapis for kohl eyeliner, not merely makeup, but the blue sigil worn by queens and priestesses. Cleopatra's iconic azure line wasn't cosmetic, it was a mark of power, a protective glyph drawn across the eyes to command vision, clarity, and divine sight. They also used lapis for amulets and scarabs, funerary masks, including the legendary mask of Tutankhamun. They also used it for inlays in statues of gods. To the Egyptians, lapis represented the night sky, the flesh of the gods, protection in the afterlife. It was associated with Isis, Hathor, and the regenerative power of the heavens. When you see Egyptian blue, you're looking at the legacy of lapis lazuli. Section 4. China, Wisdom, and Virtue. In ancient China, lapis was carved into ritual objects, beads, and ornaments reserved for the elite. It symbolized wisdom, inner truth, and moral integrity. Chinese scholars believe the stone sharpened the mind and aligned the spirit with clarity. Section 5. Greece and Rome, Medicine, Magic, and Power. The Greeks and Romans imported lapis for jewelry, signet rings, ground pigment, medicinal powders. They believed it could strengthen the body, protect against evil, and enhance mental clarity. Doctors prescribed powdered lapis for inflammation and spiritual ailments. Magicians used it in protective rituals. Even then, the stone carried a reputation for truth, vision, and cosmic insight. Section 6. The Renaissance, the birth of ultramarine. By the Middle Ages and Renaissance, lapis lazuli became the source of the most expensive pigment in the world, ultramarine. This pigment was so rare and costly that artists reserved it for the robes of the Virgin Mary, sacred scenes, and high commission works. Ultramarine was worth more than gold. Its presence in a painting signaled wealth, devotion, and divine importance. Lapis had officially become a sacred color. Section 7. Symbolism across civilizations. Across thousands of years, lapis consistently symbolized royalty, divinity, wisdom, cosmic order, protection, truth, and vision. Its golden pyrite flakes were seen as stars, tiny constellations sealed inside stone, anchoring its bond to the heavens. Because of this, countless civilizations believed lapis was not merely a gem, but a fragment of the night sky itself, a keeper of the mind, the third eye, and the hidden realms of inner sight. Lapis lazuli isn't just a gemstone, it's a timeline, a record of human belief, power, and imagination. From the mountains of Afghanistan to the temples of Egypt, to the canvases of Renaissance masters, this stone has shaped our understanding of the divine, the royal, and the cosmic. Lapis lazuli is a threshold stone, a mirror, a guide, and a keeper of ancient truth. Today, you've crossed another threshold of forgotten knowledge. When you are ready to ascend again, I'll be here to unseal the next stone. Until then, stay curious, stay grounded, stay aligned, and move through the world like the sovereign being you are.